DevHub. I'm one of the moderators over there, and we have an exciting episode here for you today. We have Boris coming on today to talk about our awesome new bounty program. That this booster program is for developers, and we think that is super exciting. That can really get the word out there for boosting near and actually, earning some extra money. So everyone loves that. So we'll have Boris come on and talk about that. Then we have Brandon from Neko and, originally from Trove Labs, but they've done the Neko project as well as Jump DeFi. He's going to talk about being an entrepreneur and building on Near, as well as talk about some of the different aspects and landscapes of tokens and parts like that. We're going to have Owen, who's one of our DevRels, come on the call as well and talk through all of that. And then we're going to wrap up with a new segment called Tweet of the Week, which we're going to get to at the end and kind of break that down and talk a little bit about some awesome things that are happening in the Near ecosystem. Don't forget to make sure that you subscribe to our newsletter, that you're following along with everything that we have going on here at DevHub. There's tons of stuff that are happening in the Near ecosystem, and we want to make sure that everyone is up to date. So the newsletter is the best way to go about that. Let's get started and let's kind of get into it. I'm going to bring Boris up here and kind of really just introduce our exciting new program. Let me grab Boris here. Hey, Boris, and let's get into it. So we have an exciting new program that is called the Bounty Booster Program. And this is something that been in the works for a little while, but maybe you could talk a little bit about what exactly this booster program is, who it affects, and why we think this is such a powerful impact for the Near ecosystem.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Hey, Joe. Thank you for having me again, man. Well, yes, this is a program that started a few months ago. We wanted to, to give an extra incentive for developer the hackathon hackers. So they have just one more reason to hack Near, right? But then we thought, why limit it to hackathons, right? Let anyone who wants to use the Near stack to participate in any hackathon they want, as long as we are not already sponsoring it. And if they win, let's match whatever they win, right? So that's the core idea of this. So what we want you guys to do is you participate or see a hackathon. Doesn't have to be even Web3. Actually, we prefer if it's not Web3, and you want to participate, and you can think of a way to participate in that hackathon and win some kind of bounty using Near. We will match whatever you win. It's either if you win a sponsor bounty, or if you win the overall hackathons bounties or whatever, we will match it. So it's the idea. Well, it's simple. We released an article and also the tweets. Perhaps we can. I don't know. You can post the links here again. So basically, we're expecting, if you win, you just fill up a quick form and tweet about it, and then we review it, and it's everything checks. We just send you the money. That's as simple as that. So, and even easy. So we want you so much to do that if during the hackathon you are need support from us, just let us know before the hackathon. You can tell us, guys, I'm hacking is a hackathon, I'm using Near, we need some support. We'll make sure that we can probably connect you with someone that can give you some support in depending on what you want to do, chain abstraction or etc. So yeah, that's the idea.
I think it's an awesome program, and one of the things that I think is so important to stress is that it does not have to be a crypto project, right? And that's where Near is a unique opportunity here, where you can use Near as a solution. It doesn't have to just always be just like a blockchain per product, but you can actually use our front end stuff. It can be the smart contract. It can be any part of that. If it uses Near and it wins, you can get bonus, right?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, we call it an extra life.
Perfect.
Yeah. You have one more life to get a little more or more for the time we understand. You put a lot of time on this, and we have done hackathons on the other side too. So we know it's it's good to have our time recognized. So if
Yeah,
you're going to put some time in using near and learning near, we're happy to to compensate you for that.
yeah. I think that's a great way to put it. One question that I know probably people are going to come up with as they are digging into this, whatever else, is, you know, what I get. Can you maybe specify a little bit like what constitute as a win? Is it anything? Do they have to be a top prize? Can they come in, as a side bounty? How does this all work?
Yeah. As I mentioned before, yeah, it could be any, it could be even another sponsor bounty, as long as you implement it near in the final solution, right? Let's
Yep.
say you use near to some kind of bounty, and you got, I don't know, also apply for the base, and base give you some kind of bounty. We are happy to match that one too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and of course the general bounties, or some hackathons have like a vertical bounties. So those two, whatever prize you get or bounty you can claim from the hackathon, we're happy to match. Of course, as long as you use near uh, uh, as a part of the one of the part of the near stack. And with that, I mean, could be chain abstraction, it could be React and chain. The only limitation we have now that in the past we didn't is probably Aurora. Not
Hmm.
for us in particular, is because we want to focus on the non-MVM part. So, but besides that, I think every part, the tools, the SDKs, whatever is fair game.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's an awesome opportunity for developers. You did mention that if again, because it's supposed to be a non-near sponsored event, but people might need help. So, what are some great ways to contact DevHub and get some more help?
Yeah, I think the easiest way is right now is to X, to Twitter. You can ping us and say, guys, I need help with this hackathon, and some of them will contact you. Or if you can join some of our Telegram groups, that probably will be faster. Um, but some people doesn't want to join just another Telegram group.
Yeah,
But if you're happy to join Telegram group, probably will be the fastest way. Or if not, also the Discord is also a good starting point.
yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot of different opportunities, and that's when we have developers come and talk to us, again, any kind of project, whether it's for a different hackathon, if you are looking for support, if you're looking for help in any way, we're here to help you build your project. Even if it's not for a hackathon, you're just doing it on the side. We always want people to come to the Telegram group, to the Discord, talk about whatever issues you may be having, and there's someone either from our team or even just the community is always there to help, and so that's a really important part of all of this. So this is exciting.
Yeah,
Uh, this starts immediately, right? There's no so as
right
soon as
away.
people
Yeah.
so get
I
hacking.
yeah, I received an email today from the Dev Post. They just released the monthly newsletter, and they have a list of hackathons there, like five. So if you're
Nice.
looking for hackathons, pick one, use near, and claim your boost.
Awesome. I think that's a great way to do that, right?
Mhm.
So especially if you think you have a good project and you're going and you need a front end, like the cheat code here is like React on chain, using near for that. Like that's easy where
Yeah,
everyone most projects you're gonna need some kind of front end. It doesn't over make you have to dive into smart contracts, whatever else. It can be multi-chain as Near starts to expand more into our chain abstraction, which is again, we encourage everyone to kind of check out those community groups and what we documentation on chain abstraction. That will be an awesome opportunity too to start combining what we have here on Near with these other chains as you do these different hackathons. And hey, everyone likes more money, right? So
yeah,
uh,
yeah. Definitely, React on Chain will be the probably the easiest way to jump into this. Just whatever project we're doing, deploy on React
for
on
sure.
Chain, and the rest is whatever you want to do. It could be any EVM, DApp, or whatever. So yeah, that would be the easiest way.
Totally. Awesome. Well, Boris, I really appreciate you coming on and letting everyone know about this exciting program. And we certainly will make sure that, we're getting the word out continuously. We'll keep promoting it here. People have questions. Make sure that you are, coming and, asking us different questions in the Discord. Like Boris said, come to the Telegram, hit us up on Twitter. Lots of opportunities there. So we really appreciate it. Thanks,
Awesome.
Boris, and we'll talk
Thank
to you
you.
soon.
Okay,
All
bye.
right, thanks. All right. Awesome stuff. So again, I really encourage people to check out this program, ask us questions. It's easy money. Again, all you have to do is win a prize at another hackathon, and you can go. Next up, really excited. So I've known Brandon for a while. Actually interviewed him on a previous product I had called Ready Layer One. Him and his team that really they've been around since the early days of Near. They've been through the bear market building, and we really wanted to have Brandon come on and talk about not just like tokens in general, which is a part of what they're doing at Neko and Jump, but just in general also building on Near and being a builder, right? So it's more than just actually writing code. It's a whole process. Building a Web3 obviously is a little bit different as well than maybe a typical like Web2 project. So that's one of those things that we're really hoping to engage with and get some answers from. Again, I'm also going to have Owen come on too, who's one of our DevRels. So let's bring them up. So here we go. We're going to bring up hey Brandon and
hey, what's up, Joe?
Owen.
How's it going?
Hey, going great, going great. Thanks so much for joining today.
Yeah,
Owen, how are you?
All good. Still got this cough, so I'll probably mute whilst I cough up my lungs for a bit, but all good.
No
Glad to
worries.
have you on here, Brandon.
Yeah.
No worries.
The bear builder.
Yeah.
Joe mentioned Joe mentioned that interview with Ready Layer One. That was some time ago. I still remember that. We were just starting out building. I think that was that 2022 or 20. Yeah, that had to have been like 2022.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, you guys were still early days. I don't think much of anything has launched really for Jump yet. So no, it's exciting. So let's kind of jump in a little bit, and as we're dev focused here on this, is we want to talk about a lot of the building and stuff like that. You guys have done, you've done NFTs, you've done tokens, started with maybe like Neko, which was like your first project. What was the impetus to kind of get into that and start actually, building that community through there to then lead into these other projects?
Yeah, so I'll start a little bit before that. My name is Brandon Mando in the Near community. I was really into crypto, especially at the end of 2021. I think that's when we actually started building on Near. We started with the Classy Kangaroos, actually, which is a really old NFT project. That was our first one. Right. And I guess the main goal was that we had seen a lot about with Ethereum, and I think I was really interested in Solana. I kind of enjoyed the lack of expensive gas fees and the communities there. And NFTs were really big in Solana in those days. And there was a lot of things that attracted us to Near, but one of them was just the way that everyone kind of worked together and was really open in the community. There wasn't that tribalism that existed on Ethereum and Solana at the time. So we kind of we were impressed with the tech stack, what they were offering, and we wanted to be first movers and develop a community and try and provide value. So that's kind of why we started with our small NFT collections, and NFTs were really big at the time. But that kind of led us to our other projects, led us to Neko and Jump DeFi. And I forgot what the question, I think you wanted to talk about Neko, but with Jump DeFi, we wanted to provide more DeFi functionalities for these different NFT projects. We saw a large amount of NFT projects, and the problem is most of them didn't really have any sustainable models or ways to keep going. So we wanted to provide DeFi to them, different ways to provide NFT staking, launching their own tokens, things like that. Because at the time, that was something that was lacking in the Near ecosystem infrastructure. So we wanted to build out, and I think everything just kind of like took off from there. But our But our goal was obviously we were non-technical founders. We wanted to start with something small and then build and expand the ecosystem.
Yeah, I wouldn't say Jump DeFi is small. It's quite a decent sized project. I just staked my first Bean NFT the other day. That was interesting. So would you say you came more to near for the opportunity or the tech, or sort of a mix between them?
I would say it was definitely all of it. Again, yeah, Jump DeFi is a lot bigger now, but back then we started very small, and we, as I said, sorry, non-technical. We had a couple developers help us with our initial projects, launching them, and we actually experienced a couple times. We brought in developers from who were used to building on Ethereum, Solidity, and when we brought them over to Rust, I noticed that there was like a small difficulty curve, but once they kind of got introduced to building on with Near CLI, building contracts, and with Rust, they actually enjoyed it a lot more, and they found it was very simple, very easy. And we actually had two of the developers we onboarded actually build their own projects on Near. I don't know if they're still around anymore, but they actually were really interested in it, and they really enjoyed Near. So I find that there actually is a lot that Near offers in terms of tech stack, and there's a lot of things that we don't even, a lot of projects don't even utilize. Like an example is, I forget what exactly it is, but with what ShardDog has been doing with easy one-click activations, that was something that it was always there, but no one was really utilizing that from the Near tech stack.
Yeah, I feel a lot of people they stay away from Near until they're in the ecosystem, and then they're like, "Whoa, that's kind of crazy," and they don't want to leave. I know how that's been with myself, at least. Yeah. So with Neko, you just had the centralized exchange listing, right?
Yeah.
And as part of that, you got rid of like you locked your contract and all that good stuff. And I had with tokens, I was discussing in the contract standards community not too long ago about how on Near, I'm not sure about other ecosystems like with ERC, but like NEP 141 tokens, they just define the token interface, right? So that doesn't affect any of the business logic that is going on. Yeah, NFA. That doesn't define any of like the business logic going on in the contract. Do you think there's any cool features that could be added to like a Neko token or a meme coin or something? Because I sort of had this idea about on an exchange when you're trading these tokens, then a proportion of what you trade gets converted to like marketing efforts or whatever. I think there's some interesting possibilities there.
It's actually funny you brought that up, because that was actually something we tried to do initially with Neko token. We were trying to implement a tax, like it's a 5% tax on selling that would go back into the ecosystem, go to the different distribution mechanisms we have to provide Neko to holders, stakers, things like that. We had that initially, and that's part of the reason why also the contract wasn't locked until the MEXC listing, because I feel like there's a lot of new standards that people have been making recently, and for NFTs or tokens, there's a lot of functionality that's possible on Near. But the problem we ran into with that was that while it worked in our contract, we couldn't get it to function on Ref Finance, because we needed Ref Finance to change a small, I think, front end segment of code to enable it, or else the transaction just wouldn't go out, because Ref Finance wouldn't accept it just wouldn't accept our tax calculation in there. So we tried to do that. We tried to talk to Ref Finance about it, and I think ultimately we just since they were the main exchange and it was taking some time, we just kind of nixed that whole thing and just went with the normal token. But yeah, there's a lot of cool things that we had thought about, and we wanted to implement them. But I think there are still ways to implement them. But that specific one did not work with the decentralized exchange on Near. So
I'm surprised, knowing you guys, you didn't just decide to spin up your own exchange because of that.
we were working on that actually as well as part of Jump DeFi, and we're actually that was something. It turned out to be a lot bigger of a development. We were going to do that. We were going to allow Jump DeFi to be able to provide that, but we just figured it would be a lot quicker and easier, to get Neko going without that tax. So yeah, we abandoned that, but we did have that idea, and I think there are a lot of potential ways to do something like that that could benefit an ecosystem, or just have new innovations that can help a project that we haven't thought of.
Sure. And as of late, chain abstraction and chain signatures has been like a big thing in the Near ecosystem, apart from like AI as well. It's sort of a battle between them right now.
Yeah.
Do you think like a Trove Labs and Neko and Jump DeFi, all your products you have, are you looking to use chain abstraction in any way? Maybe cross-chain staking or something like that? Can we expect to see?
Yeah, so we're actually working on a really big thing for Jump DeFi. We are trying to build out a aggregator for the different dexes on Near. I know there's mainly Ref Finance, there's Orderly, VX, and I think a few others, but we're trying to kind of create something similar to the vein of like Jupiter on Solana. We want to aggregate everything on Near and provide the best trades on Jump DeFi. And we're actually in development on that. It's going to be a little bit more time. We'll provide more alpha as that comes out. But the next step, I think, would be to figure out how we could use chain abstraction and possibly aggregate on other chains. I mean, we're still looking into how to do that, and we're really excited with the chain abstraction technology. We definitely are, we're excited for it, but I think we're still kind of working on that. I'm not sure how many projects have actually been utilizing chain abstraction technology. You guys might know more than me.
Yeah, we saw a lot of hackathon participants using chain abstraction and chain signatures, which is great to see. But I think it's a very big concept to get your head around in the first instance. From what I've seen, the actual like implementation and the programming isn't too difficult, but trying to wrap your head around some of it is the struggle, which we saw at the hackathons. But I do know I've spoken to a few people just today that are working on chain abstraction products, and I'm excited to see what's happening. Have you seen many examples floating about, Joe?
Yeah, not a ton yet. I mean, I think that's where it's really an experimental phase, But Brent, I think one of the things that's been great about you guys, and I love that you brought up, is that like there's so much untapped potential here still, right? Like, so chain abstraction is just the new part of that, but even beforehand, there's just a lot of parts that are not really being utilized and that are available to developers to start experimenting with. That it's a little bit different. Is that something where you guys are trying to constantly prioritize innovating, or is it sometimes it's just about, look, I got to get a product in production from there?
I think at the stages we're at now, we're definitely looking at innovating. We've been looking at a few different things with streaming with Neko, with the new baby AI acquisition. We're looking into AI and how you can do different token functionalities with AI. We'll have more information on that later. And again, with Jump DeFi, we're focusing on the aggregator, but we've already established some things. So we're always trying to innovate and see what kind of cool things we can come up with. And like I said, after we kind of establish our aggregator development, we're going to be looking into how we can use chain abstraction to kind of advance that. And that's kind of the goal, because I think one of the things we figure is that we like to build like chain agnostic. I feel like that might be kind of the future. And with Near, like being able to utilize that, use chain abstraction to allow people to participate in other chains, do transactions on other chains. I think that is a very big, it's very big. We've always kind of built with user accessibility in mind. You know, you want to be able to do things easily from a few wallets, and yeah.
And what you gave me a bit of a shill a few months back about Baby AI, but can you say any more on it now? Like, what is it that Baby AI is doing?
Yeah, the main thing we're trying to do is we're trying to aggregate a lot of basically the main AI algorithms, the main AI like platforms like ChatGPT, Midjourney, a couple others, a lot more popping up. But we want to aggregate them and provide them on the app. But we also want to provide rewards to anyone for using AI generation. So there's a couple things that we're looking into doing on how to do that. But at the moment, we're trying to aggregate a bunch of these so that you can kind of get the best option. Because for right now, a lot of it is like fragmented. Some AI platforms are better at certain things. Some of the image generations, like for 3D renderings, are better on Midjourney, but with like DALL-E, it's much better at doing like canvas art and stuff like that. So being able to, you know, a lot of people don't really want to get too hard into the prompt engineering aspect of it, and they just want to be able to make what they want very quickly and easily. So that's kind of something we're doing there. But I think there's a lot of, you know, there's a lot of potential in being able to give rewards for people for using AI, for using prompt generation. There's a lot of data there associated with it too that can help refine the models for Baby AI as well. So there's a bunch, and we'll definitely give more as we get further along with it. But we are excited, again, with the innovation, like Joe said, trying new things. I think that's the best part of building on Near, is that we talked about it a little bit, but it is very, I feel like it's easier to build things with more functionality than on something like Ethereum. Again, I'm not a non-technical developer. I know a little bit about all of this, but what would you guys say? Like, does the smart contract functionality on Near, is it better than that on Solana? Or I feel like they're similar since they're Rust, but how does it compare to other chains?
Well, I feel like the one thing that Near offered from the start was the account abstraction, right? And I feel like that does make a lot of things easier. And like it's from a sort of non-technical standpoint, it's just like if someone wants to pay me, I don't have to give them 64 letters or and hex or whatever. I just say I'm pivortex.near or ispice.near, and they know they can just pay me simple. But yeah, I think like function call access keys, that's one of my favorite things about Near. And I mean, the reason I came into Near was because of the tech. I don't know what was your experience, Joe, coming into the ecosystem?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was heavily tech based. I've talked about it before on some other podcasts where it really was about. Yeah, I come from a very heavy Web 2 and enterprise background, and when I was researching more in Web 3, a lot of this stuff wasn't overly interesting to me because it felt very restricted. Right, like you have to kind of follow these rails. This is kind of what's available to you. Especially like Solidity was very restrictive, and so opening things up with especially like account abstraction and where you could be creative as a developer, as someone who wants to build product and not have all these restrictions, where you could really push and feel like you're building more in kind of Web 2. That's where like the open web concept really comes from, of like, hey, it's really just like building the open web. It's not like building crypto per se when you're on Near. And that's was really enticing as a developer, to really saying, hey, I can actually innovate here, not just build another meme coin.
Yeah, I think that nails it pretty exactly. It's kind of how we feel. And again, non-technical, but Near does offer a lot, and all of the developers we've worked with, they really do enjoy it and feel like it gives us a lot more functionality.
I think going back to the talking about baby AI, I think a lot of people when they think of blockchain and AI, they're thinking of like uploading these massive models on chain, which I don't really see happening. Like Near is pretty cheap for data storage, right? You're paying one Near for 100 kilobytes of data, but some of these models are pretty massive, so you don't want to be paying uh, I don't know, thousands. Like one person came up to me at Denver and was saying, I want to have this 600 megabyte model on chain. I was like, yeah, it's probably going to cost you quite a bit. I would not recommend
Nah.
that. Yeah, I think the interaction between like the payment systems with AI is where it will really come into play with blockchain. For example, you said how Baby AI is using it to pay people using the models, which I feel is like a really interesting use case because I know Ilya's been talking and a lot about using it to, well, this is how Near started really, rewarding contributors for uh, like data labeling, right? And even rewarding those who are creating the content the models are trained on. I think that's a very interesting use case because there's been a few lawsuits and cases about how like you've put out an article, right? And say you have this article and you're maybe earning money from that for running ads adjacent to the article or whatever. But if this is being used by like an LLM, then you're not seeing those ads, right? And your content is somewhat just being stolen. So it's sort of the end of uh like monetizing your content. So I think payment systems for rewarding those who are producing original content could be a very interesting use case, and I'd love to get involved with that.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot that we're looking into there. We have kind of like we're still building out the base Baby AI platform. It has an app already on the Android store. We're looking to get it on the Apple store, but we're looking much more into that, how we can actually innovate with paying tokens for getting this data and making generations on AI. One of the things I thought was interesting was this new project on Near, I think Edge Video. They're utilizing like I think Web 2 streams, but they're providing an overlay and providing rewards via Web 3 on top of that. And I think that's a really interesting thing. I haven't seen too much of, I don't think, but that's something similar in a way to reward users or reward people for watching these streams. So, what do you guys think about that?
Sounds cool. I don't know. I don't know
Okay.
much about this.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts, Joe?
Yeah, so the product aside, I think the concept is certainly interesting, right? Like it's about because it brings back the ownership piece of can I have more ownership over my data? Am I being rewarded properly? Am I the product versus, am I consuming a product? Things like that. So all of that stuff is I think super interesting to explore. And I wonder, long term, like do people start to see that? The struggle that I think I always have is that we've come to a place I feel like it's sometimes in society where a lot of people have just like given in and they don't really think about that stuff anymore. Like the convenience of a Facebook, the convenience of all these other platforms, right? Like it's people like I don't really care about my privacy so much. Where as we get further along, if we can match that, that ease of use and then provide, like you said, like rewards to that, and people start to see, oh, you know like my time is valuable. That is such an interesting dynamic to get people at least interested in what's available here from an open web perspective.
Yeah. Well, I'm seeing like recently, Elon Musk was tweeting about how I think they're gonna start introducing payments for posting tweets, right? For anti-spam. So I'm thinking one of the main blockers for building on chain is that you have to pay gas for your transactions, right? So I'm thinking now Twitter needs to become on near, right? I know there was Reddit in the past were looking at introducing blockchain. So I think it's time Twitter comes along, because we haven't seen, apart from Sweat. I know that was like existing before the like blockchain integration, right? But
Mhm.
we haven't seen many classical like web 2 companies get integrated with blockchain, and I do hope that that time is coming soon. Are there
Yeah.
any applications you could see coming onto near in the near future?
I don't know. I want I want some sort of like streaming or spaces alternative to like Twitch or even TikTok, all of those, because we've had a lot of trouble in the past with some of our accounts getting blocked because of there's just the terms that they were able to dictate over people and the content that they post. It's mainly just they see crypto and they automatically flag and then suspend your account, and it makes it really hard for a lot of content creators that specialize in crypto or Web3 to make content without it getting demonetized or flagged. And I feel like Near or other blockchains, Near, I would hope, would be able to allow content creators to get funded for content that they create. I know it's the whole point. Joe talked about the convenience, or what are you sacrificing? And YouTube, TikTok, all of those, they have the widest audiences available, so that's probably the
Sure.
main issue that you'd have to tackle. But I really do want to see some sort of alternative, because right now it's just kind of getting annoying. And even with like when they try to host like Twitter Spaces, there's always technical issues. I want something else.
Well, Joe and I actually had a little conversation about this. I think it was last week, because I was trying to see what engagement we were getting on these live streams, and I was asking like, how can we tell how many non-near people are interacting with these live streams, right? And you can't necessarily get that information from this platform, but we know with blockchain, then it's all open graph, right? So if we had that on chain streaming service, then we could just instantly tap in, see who is watching, and like from where they're coming from, right? Yeah, it's all about the open graph, really, from my perspective. Why we'd want it on chain, apart from the permissionless bit as well.
Yeah.
Sure.
I don't know if you guys would like to talk about this, but I wanted to maybe talk a little bit about, just as you said, my perspective on building as a builder on Near, without having any coding knowledge. I think there's been a lot of, we in the Near ecosystem, we always try and focus on like, how are we going to onboard all of these people? How do we get more people to use Near, join the ecosystem? But something that you guys obviously prioritize, which is the more important issue, is like, how do you get developers to build on Near? Like, how do you get people to cross over from potentially, from switching from Solidity to Rust, or even just sacrificing some of the volume that's on Ethereum to build on Solana or build on Near, specifically coming from Solana with Rust to build on Near, because it's really important. And it can be kind of difficult, especially to find different developers. And I would just like to highlight two of the resources that we've been using lately, which would have been really awesome when we were starting up. to avoid a lot of issues was Near Horizon was actually very helpful. We learned a lot of all the lessons in the latest cohort already through building through the bear for the previous years, but having something like that when we started building would have been so helpful. I mean, covering what to do, like for the business entities, legal, marketing, like going through all of that. I think that's a really great resource right now. I know they're on cohort 3. I think Joe and Jared were part of number 1.
Yep.
But I really like what Near has been doing there. Like, I think they should keep that type of stuff up. It's really helpful for founders because there's just so much you have to balance, and you can learn there, especially if you're new. And finding developers, that's really difficult. One of the resources, we've actually been working closely with BuildDAO. We have our own developers in different places, but BuildDAO is actually pretty cool. They've been able to aggregate all the developers and kind of provide different people for different tasks on Near and kind of like facilitate the whole process. And I think that that's a resource that other people looking to build on Near should definitely look into. So shout out to BuildDAO. It's definitely helping. And I think that's a good way to, as the demand grows, more developers can onboard through BuildDAO and then possibly find other projects to keep working with and stay around on Near. But yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely like, it's not just about like coming into the ecosystem, right? You gotta stay there and have something to do. We were trying to do that with the challenges as well. Give some people an idea of what they want to, like a task to build. But I think a great way to keep in the ecosystem and keep going is just like start your own project, whatever it may be. It may just be for fun, but it might turn into something big, right? But not everyone is of that founder mindset, so I think it's difficult for some devs to become like founders themselves, and I think Horizon is doing a great job of that. And I also think that you have to build your team so that, like, if I'm a developer, then I have to find someone who's of that very like business mindset.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, and you guys coming in that are been really heavily product focused, and it's again, you need to go out and actually hire devs. Was the catch for, I mean, besides obviously like you're paying people, right? But you got to actually get people who are going to be engaged and understand what you're doing. Did it help that you were coming in with clear products in mind? Or was it something where you would say, look, here's what we want to do, but we'll give you some freedom to explore and build with us? What's that catch? Because I think that's where when people come into any ecosystem, this isn't just like a Near problem, right? Where it's like, what can I do here? Is this going to be just like a job for me? And so I think as we talk to developers, where is that line for you guys as, I guess, entrepreneurs that you want your developers to kind of fit into?
Yeah, so I guess we started with a really close developer, worked with him for a very long time. And I think we kind of started from the innovation process, like what can we do? And then we run it by him and see what's possible. And again, with Near, there definitely was a lot of potential for a lot of the ideas we were building. Not necessarily so on Ethereum with like how immutable and all of that stuff, the way that contracts are designed over there. But yeah, we kind of just bounced ideas off of each other, David and I, and our developer Eric, and kind of worked from there to see what was possible. So
Sure.
Yeah, and I guess there is a lot we've talked about, like how much there is being a founder, how many things you have to learn and what you have to do. And one of the issues we encountered with a different developer was that Web 2 development, like coming into building on Near as founders without too much experience on directing a software development team and all of the issues in between that. There's a lot we had to learn there. And like you said, there's always a discrepancy between what you want to innovate on and what is actually possible. And we definitely ran into some challenges there. But yeah, again, on Near, I think it is pretty easy to kind of just come up with an idea and kind of make it reality more so than like on Ethereum.
Sure. So speaking of also then of this part of it too, is like when you go to hire developers, what are you looking for? Like, what should we tell developers to say, hey, I don't have my own project, I want to go work? What are the things that you guys are looking for to bring developers in?
Yeah. So let's see. I guess recently, we're kind of looking for people with some contract experience. I mean, I think a lot of people don't necessarily have too much experience with Near, but I think it's not too much of a learning curve for them to kind of transition over it to Near smart contracts. So we kind of had some examples for them to look at, but getting developers who are already like experienced with Solidity
Right.
or maybe a little bit on Solana, it's not too hard to get them to be able to work on stuff from Near. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. In the past, I'm not exactly sure. I guess just people who have somewhat contract experience, people that I want like are probably going to stick around a little bit longer, spend a little bit more time rather than just like do a gig and leave, you know. But
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I with my like own personal project, I just finished like contracting the developer for the first time, and he was actually he knew quite a bit about Near, so that was a very fast onboarding process. And when it's like short term dev work, rather than like an ongoing contract or an employee, then the knowledge of like the specifics of the ecosystem definitely comes in useful. Like a Solidity dev will probably be great like long term, but you can't necessarily afford to have them like learning initially, right?
yeah, so that's kind of why it was difficult for me to answer because we work with multiple teams and multiple developers. Some teams we have on bigger projects, some teams on other projects, Neko Jump, but we also just have a couple different devs that kind of just make sure everything is maintenance issues. There's always troubleshooting. It's good to have people with experience with like front end and other stuff, and some people who have more contract experience. So it's kind of like, to be honest, developing a team with strengths and weaknesses and kind of just working from there. But I would say that most people really don't have too much issue transitioning over to Near. And if you can find, maybe not everyone is a full stack developer, but a good contract backend guy and a good front end developer, you can probably have a good base to get started working.
Yeah, I always avoid front end as much as I can. All my front end is AI prompts, so don't ask me to make a front end for you.
Yeah. No, I mean, so Brandon, this is just not so about you guys, your projects, but just from your opinion as an entrepreneur, and you guys are getting into AI, like where do you feel some of that actually fits into, your work, your developers and your team? Is that something that you guys are trying to embrace more to, reduce some costs, or is it where you feel like, hey, it's still too early, so we want to make sure that we're getting, people who are going to fill in the right positions?
Yeah, so like AI is super helpful. Like as a founder, there's between like 2 years ago starting out versus now, the amount that a couple people are able to do is it's expanded so much. Before,
Sure.
like not saying that it's great replacing all these types of like graphic designers or things like that, but with AI you're able to easily pop up some graphic designs. It helps with marketing much more, like it makes it much more efficiently. You can pop stuff out a lot faster. It definitely multiplies what people can get done. I don't necessarily know if like how it's going to be, replacing developers or things like that. I feel like there's still a long way to go before human expertise isn't needed on a lot of these things, but it definitely can help. I've used OpenAI to help figure out some coding that I botched or some things like, oh, okay, that's what's wrong. This little period here messed up the whole thing. So
Yeah.
I'd say we're still, we still need developers. There's some things that AI has replaced, but still not 100%. We still have graphic designers and things like that, but it has helped.
For sure.
I mean, that's kind of why we're looking at building things with AI. Definitely want to embrace more of that. It's definitely here to stay, and it's been expanding at a rapid pace. So we want to see how we can innovate there and use it to our advantage, as a lot of people are in crypto right now, as you guys mentioned.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, Owen, I mean, you're in all the camps here, right? Like, so you're doing developer relations, you're building your own little product, you're doing all these different things. You're also, someone who is a developer. Like, what are your thoughts on where this all fits? You mentioned using it for front end, but
So I think, like Brandon said, with just checking my code, and if I forget some stupid thing,
sure.
like how to write a certain line in Rust or whatever, it comes in great there. But I think one of the things that will probably never fade is the like original thought and like original innovation. So I do think that AI right now is struggling to like come up with something. So if
Mm-hmm.
you prompt it, give me the next like big crypto project, right? Or product, it's not going to come up with that. So it needs an
No.
entrepreneur like yourself to come in there and then tell like AI what to do, like how to make it.
Yeah.
But I do wonder in the future if you can just prompt something and it wham bam, you're a millionaire.
I think the human creativity and innovation is going to be very hard to replace. So it's going to be some time before we have
Sure.
to really have that conversation. But it is it's definitely progressing. Every time I think of the rate of AI technological expansion, I think of that Will Smith video with the spaghetti and the new one that they released. It's like
Oh
it's
yeah,
only been like a year, so it's
right.
pretty it is pretty crazy. So we will see how fast this actually progresses.
Yeah, there's some downsides to it because they could be like a video of like you doing something AI generated, but then there's also the flip side of it. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I could go do something horrible to someone, like punch an old lady on the street, and there's a recording of it, but then I can just say, oh no, it was AI, it was AI, so I'm safe from
Yeah.
that.
Oh yeah. Man, if you thought fake news was bad a while ago, it's gonna be really bad coming up here. You're not gonna know
Oh.
what's real.
Oh no, absolutely. I mean that's one of the things where you're already seeing it. I mean, like the U.S. election coming up this year, right? So like that's we're already seeing it where people are using the AI voices for fake robocalls and all that stuff. So it's
Yeah,
going to be everywhere. I just think from
absolutely.
like a developer standpoint, where there's so much talk of like where does it like eventually replace people, but I think you're spot on, guys, where it's like you still need that creative piece and you need to understand like building an actual product, and that part of just I feel like we're further away from the true like creativity piece. I do though worry about and this has been talked about on socials a lot, especially I think there's a whole forum in like Reddit about it, of like that junior level developer though, of like does that start to get phased out, and what happens then? Because I'll speak from my own experience. as a founder and as someone who's building a product as well, I no longer have a need for a junior developer, because all those tasks that I would give to them, I give to AI. Again, that saves me a ton of money, and that saves me a ton of time. And I want to be able to support the next group. But if I'm doing it, yes, true. I don't have a budget, right? I'm bootstrapping, but enterprises, companies, corporations are starting to do that. So what happens in between? Like there's you need that experience, right? Like we all went through it to have those jobs to build yourself up to eventually be a more senior developer. How do you get there?
It's a pretty good question.
Yeah. I mean, I would say we have an answer today, but those are the things where, like, we talk about AI as from a developer's perspective. I think it's less about like being replaced today. It's like, does that just start to get phased out, and who becomes that next crop of senior developers?
Just have to learn for 20 years until you get a job, I suppose.
Yeah.
No, for sure. And that's the thing too. Like, and if you went to school for it, right? So if you went and got a computer science degree and you went through that whole thing, the problem that's always been, and I don't know if it's much better now, but it certainly wasn't in the past, where like you may be fundamentally sound developer and understand all the stuff, but to actually go and build a product and to actually go work, not even build your own thing, just go work in a corporation as a software developer, software engineer. That's such a different skill set. Like, it's just, yes, you can be technically sound, but like the skill set of like actually shipping to production and that's about so different. And so that's where like that junior to mid to senior was so important. And now I feel like that's starting to get cut out. And so that's going to be a really interesting thing as we start to, see all this progress.
Yeah.
So let's bring it back. Project. Yeah, right. I mean, that's what's going to be, right? It's going to be, yeah, you're going to have to start doing more of your own stuff. So pulling all this together, I don't want to take too much more of your time, Brandon. This has been great to talk about you about. As you start to see the future of, we talked a little bit about like what you guys are trying to build and the possibilities to innovate here on Near. What are some of the things that are really, the next step for you guys as a true builder, right? So not just like throwing out products, but is it something about like, like you said, like, are you streamlining all the different offerings you have? Do you feel the need that we just try to keep expanding and to keep experimenting and wait for that to come down the road? How do you make those decisions as a builder founder?
Yeah, so I think we talked about it a little bit. We have been streamlining our offerings, building out our platforms. We're finding them a little bit more, especially with like big events coming up. I mean, I know a lot of people are looking at the future for crypto, and a lot of people are optimistic, including myself. I feel like we are either on the edge of breaking out into a bull market, something like that. Don't know. Hope so. But I think that Near itself has had a lot of different narratives over time, wallet abstraction, boss, chain abstraction. But I do think right now, chain abstraction is probably the strongest one. I think we're sticking with that one for sure, finally. And I think there's a lot that you can a lot I'm hoping for, a lot of potential there to, build on Near because it's easy, because the transaction fees are great, because the community is great. There's a lot of support, and then use chain abstraction to kind of expand from there, and kind of just having that chain agnostic ideas, or sorry, just having that perspective as well. So we do want to offer this to more people, break beyond the Near echo chamber as well. But that's kind of like the next steps after we kind of consolidate what we're building here. But yeah, I think just kind of aligning with that chain abstraction narrative with Near and seeing how we can build things out from there. I think that's like our goals. That's the next step for us. And I think maybe a lot of projects on Near.
Yeah,
sure.
I've heard of a lot of projects like they were existing projects before, and now they're adding that chain abstraction parameter to it. I'm very interested to see where it will go.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like Near really has been building up. There's there's probably some things that were some interesting choices we made in the past couple of years, but I think recently things have been pretty well. Uh, I feel like we're really on board with the new narrative of things, the infrastructure. I mean, it seems like the transaction volume is really high. We're doing really well in comparison with some of the other chains out there. So I think that people are starting to notice Near. I felt like at ETH Denver, I really had a lot of people that kind of knew about it and were interested and wanted to talk more about it than some of the other conferences I've been to in previous years. So feel like people are starting to take notice, and I think with this more people getting into crypto, they kind of just want a smooth experience. They don't want to have all these different wallets, all these things. So if you can provide fast times, large scalability, low transaction costs, and the ability to do a bunch of different things from like one wallet, I think that's something people are going to start wanting. So that's my
For sure.
take.
Seems like everything's picking up. I just refer everyone to DApp Radar. Tell them look at the top 10 DApps
Yeah.
and the transactions. I think we're second on transaction volume, just behind Solana, and first by far in unique active wallets, right? So it's looking good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's definitely an exciting time to certainly build. And it's I'm hoping that more people see that again it is possible to both build and attract users here. Having a good product, having something strong, there is a lot of opportunities here. Near doesn't have the biggest name, but really I think right now that the tech stack is in a really great place to start building.
Yeah.
Any kind of things you'd like to kind of like wrap up with? Anything else,
Oh,
promotion?
I don't really have too many shills other than, I mean, yeah, I mean, just that we're going to be announcing some more things coming up. We've been building a lot as we do. We've had a couple things come live recently. We have the Jump DeFi vaults, just different ways to stake and earn rewards from other tokens in the ecosystem, like Black Dragon. Probably have some ways to stake X Jump and earn Lonk later. We got the MEXC listing for Neko. That was pretty cool. I know I thought we were the first one to go on a big centralized exchange like that, but I think maybe there's a couple tokens from the Here wallet ecosystem already on centralized exchanges. I'm not sure, but that was pretty cool. It's good to see more. I hope more tokens list on centralized exchanges from Near, so people can kind of see that. Yeah, nothing really to shill right now. Maybe in the future.
No, it's awesome. I appreciate your perspective. I think it's important that developers start to hear more about what it is actually to build and execute in production here. And your guys' experience and your success so far of not just probably shipping multiple things, and still building is a testament to what is possible. And I think that's something that we want to continue to get that message across. If people want to reach out to you, maybe ask some questions, is Twitter the best place to reach out?
Yeah, I definitely look at my Twitter DMs every once in a while.
Nice.
And Neko and Jump as well. So reach out there. Probably find me on Telegram and Discord pretty easily too.
Perfect.
But yeah, thank you guys so much for the conversation. It was great. It's always a pleasure to talk to you guys, and I appreciate everything you said about us as builders. I can say the same about you guys, Joe as well, with Shardog and everything else. You guys really have been carrying the Near ecosystem on your back, helping a lot of projects with your Shardog links, and even Owen has helped me out with some technical issues and different things on on Near for our project as well. So that's one of the main reasons we enjoyed Near. The community is very helpful and accepting. So like Joe said, reach out to anyone and they'll probably help you.
Sure, that's awesome.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks for joining. And we look to have you back on sometime. Maybe talk a little more about your AI offerings and things like that.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Well,
Thanks,
yep.
guys.
Thanks, Joe.
Guys.
Thanks, Owen.
All right. Thanks so much. All right, that was exciting. That was really, for me as a builder as well, I think it's so important to get these messages out that you guys can see that, look, we can do a lot of stuff building here on Near. It's not just, again, meme coins and everything else. That's fun. That's here. That's available. They're doing it too, but you can actually build anything that you actually want to get into. And for yourself as a developer, if you have your own idea, that's great. And as Brandon mentioned, we have programs like Horizon here that can help with, kind of growing and becoming an actual business. But then we also have that ability to just like come in and find work. There are a lot of projects building. I'm always getting asked if, do you know any developers, things like that. And there are opportunities for you to come into the ecosystem and get involved and things like that. So I really would encourage anyone who's interested to do that. One of the things too here is, and I'll just highlight this, is our newsletter is a great place to continue to get information about that stuff. Upcoming events, different places to look, communities, things like that are all, I think a nice opportunity for people. Let's move on to the last segment here. This is something a little bit new. Wanted to give it a try. Tweet of the week. I think it's important to see also what's going on in the ecosystem. And there was a great one actually kind of came from today that I wanted to share with everyone. And if you didn't get a chance to see this morning, so one of the co-founders of Near, Ilya, posted this morning about essentially the state where Nightshade version 2, which is part of the validation process on chain, and what that actually starts to look like. And so here I'm going to share my screen here so we can kind of go show this together. So here we go. We can focus on this. And, this is where I think, I'm not going to read to everybody here, but I would encourage everyone to go and check this out and read this through. And basically, the possibilities here on Near to actually grow and expand and to actually have an opportunity to really see large growth quickly without actually having to have the growing pains of bottlenecks and things like that, I think is really underappreciated at times. One of the things, if you are building a project and you are looking to hit scale, a lot of the concern that comes up right now, especially I would say in, if you're coming from Web 2 and you're coming from, again, whether it's enterprise or just consumer-based products, and you try to hit that scale, is, blockchain is going to be too slow, or blockchain is going to get congested, and now what's the point of me actually, building this feature in? And a couple of highlights from this tweet that I really wanted to point out to everybody is that, one of the things that Near has designed for and is building out and making sure it's part of the protocol with dynamic resharding, what that means is that as that congestion builds up, you don't have to pause your app, you don't have to stop your app and then migrate it or scale it up. It's much more similar to like the example of auto resizing on like AWS or something like that, where if I actually go and I have an AWS server and I have it set up to actually auto scale, I get a ton of traffic, and now I can have more servers deployed and handle all that traffic. This is a similar concept to that. And so as soon as that congestion, and this is a nice piece right here, he says, as soon as that congestion is detected, it can split. That shard can split. And what that does is not only for your own project who maybe is having that traffic, but the other projects that are there are not also being affected. So as a whole, the whole ecosystem benefits from this. So where maybe just one project can possibly slow everything else down because of maybe it's something as simple as like here's a massive airdrop or whatever, and now it's bringing a ton of transactions online. Well, that doesn't have to affect the entire chain here on Near, and so you can feel strongly that you can actually keep up with that scaling, with that growth. uh, it's a longer kind of tweet, but it's not too long. I encourage anyone really to just kind of read this. It's not overly technical. It gives you a sense too of the difference between Near and other chains. But I want to bring it back to the Web 2 example here, is that just like you would scale in Web 2 with multiple servers, this is an opportunity to actually do that here on Near. And that's where, again, we do have tons of transactions happening each day. As Owen and Brandon were talking about, if you go onto DApp Radar, you can see that Near is a heavily used chain, and we are not running into those congestion and scaling issues. That's all due to sharding. And as we go into the next stage of that, it's only going to get better. It's going to keep prices down and everything else. So big piece here that, please take time to go back and check this out. Before we go, I want to make sure again, in case you missed it earlier, I want to highlight for everyone here that the bounty booster is live for Near. Again, this is a huge opportunity. If you missed Boris on earlier, I'd say go back and watch the beginning of this live stream. But if you are building and you're on any kind of hackathon that is not sponsored by DevHub or Near, so it's a different one. It could be Web 2, it could be another crypto conference, whatever it might be. You use Near in your tech stack, in any part of your tech stack, and you win a bounty, you can get a boost that matches that up to $5,000. It's a great opportunity for you to actually, again, not only just make more money, but to improve your tech stack and really see what Near is about. If you're already using Near and you want to go to other hackathons because you believe that you have something that can win at other places, again, here's the nice opportunity to actually do both things. And please, check out the tweet that's linked here. Ask us questions, but we want to give the opportunity for everyone to really, leverage Near as best as possible through this program. This has been, again, really another insightful, hopefully for everyone, episode. I learned something. It was great to talk to builders on here. Please keep asking us questions. Please keep reaching out. As always, if you need dev support, please come to our Telegram. That's the best place. It's always active. You can see all our communities here at near devhub.org. That's an easy place to go to for all of that. And again, keep coming back each week. Every Thursday, we'll continue to have more guests. We'll talk about more topics here about being a developer, not just on Near, but in general, and more opportunities to keep growing as well. I'll leave you with this. If you haven't already checked it out, our community calls that we have, if you've missed any of them, go to our YouTube. It's linked through our main website. All of them are there. You can go back and you can see all of that. It's a great opportunity to keep up to date. And my favorite thing to keep shilling, our newsletter. Make sure you signed up. We'll have links to that, everything there as well. We'll show you upcoming calls and dates and things like that. And make sure you're following us here on Twitter and everywhere else to keep up to date with the Near ecosystem. Thanks again for joining us, and we will see you again same time next week. Thank you.